fans, can you hear anything? Because I can't.
Oh boy.
It is an honor and a privilege to be making this selection for the best team in the NFC North. The best team in the NFC. The best team in the NFL. The Bears.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago, coming from the 606 Media Studios. This is the TCSF podcast with E-Rock and Big Z.
Yes, sir. Back in action, baby.
Back in action. Episode 192 is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirts. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your shirts now.
Right now, like right now, this minute.
Okay, cool. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, X, hit that subscribe button. If you're on your favorite podcast app, remember to give us a 5-star review and drop some comments to tell us how much you love us, how much you love our voice, how much you love our faces, all that stuff. Give us that review and those 5 stars. And you can also subscribe and support the show with a monthly subscription at anchor.fm / True Chicago Sports Fans. Go over there and click on the support button. And if you can subscribe for as little as 99 cents a month. Hey, JC made it. All right, boys. In this live episode, the dust has settled on the Chicago Bears draft. It is time for me and the boys to break it down. So let's go. It is football all day today. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Look, I'm great, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know it's football today. I know this. I think we all know this. But I gotta mention one thing before we really get deep.
Yeah.
The Chicago White Sox have doubled their win total with a sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays, and now they're up to 6 wins on the season. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to the Southsiders. Look at that hand. Oh, I love it. Look, y'all need something, right? Like something. You can't be sitting there going through life that way that you were. Maybe you're gonna get like 11 fans now instead of 10.
It's dog day, so they have a lot of fans today.
Oh man, look, right now, me and JC went back and forth about it last week, talking about who's going to be the first overall pick, whether it would be Caleb, J. Daniels, who they should pick at number 9. And I think, what I was saying was that there's no way they can pass on Caleb, and they didn't. If Dunze is there at that spot, that's who they got to pick. It was the most obvious thing. Now, for the sake of argument, you got to have something there where you kind of go back and forth. And I completely understand that you have to make a case for other players, but this was like the most obvious, a pick that you could make. And everyone knew it. It was the worst kept secret in football.
Yeah, 100% worst kept secret in football. Ryan Poles did his homework, did his job. And they were saying that he knew as of last season, midway through the season, he knew that he was going to start making these moves to put his stamp on his team because it is his team. And, he cleared house. He cleared a lot of these bad contracts. He made a lot of trades to get guys out of here, to get draft picks. We got, won the lottery ticket when Lovey won a game for us at the end of the season that got us the number 1 pick. We trade that pick and we get a haul. I mean, just like literally every single thing went right for Ryan Poles. And this man has a horseshoe the size of the Chicago bean right now.
Yeah, it's really far up there. I mean, look, I think we knew, again, we knew Caleb was working out already with the Bears. We saw Keenan Allen show up at the USC Pro Day.
Right.
We've already seen Caleb working with DJ Moore at UFC. Okay. Him and Adunze, yes, they were on the same flight. Everyone knew. Okay. But also when Adunze got drafted, Where's Caleb? He's excited. He's geeked. He jumped into the little box where the media box that they had going on back there. And he was like, they were ready. They're like, yeah. So, I mean, look, I think you're looking at a new era of Bears football. You're talking about the number 1 overall pick, who's supposed to be, when you look at prospect, as high as Andrew Luck, the highest rated guy since Andrew Luck, a really, really smart, intelligent, well-spoken young rookie wide receiver to go along with who you spent the fourth round pick on to get Keenan Allen, right? Everything seems to be coming together the way it needs to be.
JC, you still ready? You ready yet? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, like I said, the only thing for me, like I said, throughout the whole process was make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you look at all the quarterbacks. I just didn't want them to get tunnel vision, focus in on Caleb, only Caleb, and like I said, the one thing that kind of upset me was they didn't go to Jaden Daniels' pro day. But by that time, it had seemed like they had already made up their minds. They were going with Caleb. So, but that was my only thing. My only thing is, like I said, just do the due diligence. Make sure you do all your homework. Go through all the files. Go through all the teachers, all the coaching staff, all the trainers and people in the building that Caleb, was involved with and dealt with. Like I said, my only thing. And like I said, if Caleb was the pick, I was 100% on board with that. I'm fine with that. My only thing, like I said, was just make sure you don't just get the blinders and don't look at the other prospects as well. But like I said, I think they did their due diligence. They did go to, I think it was JJ McCarthy's, pro day and Bo Nix's pro day. Which I think the Bo Nix's pro day was more to look at the center Jackson Powers Johnson. But like I said, to me, yeah, it was one of the, and thank God Atlanta,
Atlanta, and between Atlanta and New York, I'm like, you guys literally screwed everyone else in the draft and gave us exactly what we wanted with our second round 1 pick at number 9, Rome Odunze.
Yeah, to me, it was more of, like I said, once the 4th quarterback was off the board, like we kind of figured, and when we were talking about this last week, I kind of said I really thought Marvin Harrison would go to Arizona. He did. Then it was a question of the Chargers, do they go Joe Alt or do they go wide receiver? Because that was the question. That was the one where it was like, okay, they could do either or. It's 50-50 to me, even though Harbaugh loves to run the ball, and you would honestly sit there and go, okay, maybe it's more 70-30 because Harbaugh just loves running the ball. But the Atlanta one to me was the shocker. Even though we all thought that Atlanta should have went defense, they should have taken a pass rusher. That was the one that shocked me. Where and don't get me wrong, I really am high on Penix. I think Penix is a great quarterback, but it was one of those where I'll be honest with you, when that pick came in, I started laughing because it was like good to Kirk Cousins, who everywhere he has been has talked about, I want to finish my career in Washington. Then he goes to the Vikings. I want to finish my career as a Viking. Then he goes to Atlanta, and Atlanta says, you may not finish your career here. You know what I mean? And we're taking your replacement already. So to me, that was the most laughable situation because, again, you pay a guy $200 million or whatever they pay Kirk Cousins, and then they draft his replacement.
Here's the thing is that, number one, I thought it was really funny because people kept talking about how Ryan Pace is part of that front office. He's one of the head scout or scouting personnel, whatever. I thought that was just hilarious in general because people were already making that connection with the last time that happened when the Bears got the draft and then they got Trubisky right after that. And they're like, hey, what's going on here? But it's funny because you did see Kirk Cousins come out and say, I was as shocked as anyone when they took that pick. Now it's already came out. Ryan Poles came out and says that the Atlanta GM did contact him to try to get up into that number 1 spot. I don't understand. Like, if you were that desperate to get this guy, and look, I think as far as a quarterback goes, he's a good quarterback. My concern is always going to be those knees. Those he's had an ACL in each knee. I also believe he's one of the older quarterbacks at number 24 years old, right? So one of the things that, and I don't remember his name, but the GM of Atlanta was like, well, if he's got to sit a couple years, 3 or 4 years, that's a good problem to have. That's a terrible problem to have. If you're going to make that choice, you go for one of the youngest quarterbacks that you're going to have to sit behind Kirk Cousins for a couple of years. I don't understand that pick at all. Nobody does. I mean, Atlanta's probably sitting there. The only thing that I can figure is that, and the only thing that I have heard is that their head coach was absolutely in love with him. So they're like, we got to do whatever we can to get him. Kirk is 35 years old. Is he going to make it to the end of his contract, that 4-year, like $9 billion contract that Atlanta gave him? Absolutely not. I don't think so. So you look at the carousel of quarterbacks that Atlanta's gone through in the last couple of years. It's good for them that they have a club of quarterbacks, but it was just a really weird move considering they thought that Kirk Cousins was going to be the guy. And I'm sure a lot of Atlanta fans thought the same thing.
$100 million for a guy that's coming back from ACL tear. And then draft a quarterback. I'm sorry, Achilles. Sorry, Achilles. Yeah, it's wild. And once they made that pick, I was jumping for joy because I knew exactly what the Bears are getting after that. I can't worry about Atlanta. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't worry about Atlanta. I can't worry about New York. The entire time, I'm like, it's going to happen. We're going to wish into existence. We already got a number 1 guy we've been talking about forever. And now we need Odunze to show up on the board for us. And that's exactly what happened once that pick came in. I mean, obviously, grading the number 1 overall pick, it's got to be an A for doing their homework, an A for picking, a player that has proven to in college football, showing you that he can actually play the same games. Yes, he's had some ups and downs. What quarterback has it? The main concern was that he fumbles. Okay, well, he had no offensive line over there, so he was running for his life, kind of like Justin was last year here. So yeah, you're going to fumble because you're trying to be a playmaker. That's going to happen. You're trying to extend the play, so that's going to happen. So for me, for the Bears, for Ryan Poles on the Caleb, I grade that as an A.
Oh, that's a home run.
I'm sorry?
That's an absolute home run.
100%.
We talk about doing due diligence. We talk about looking at other players. I mean, like you mentioned before, he knew he was picking Caleb. I knew, and you knew, and everyone else knew that they were picking Caleb Williams months ago. Yeah. One thing I'll say about Caleb is that because of the NIL that we have in college sports now, which allowed Reggie Bush to get his Heisman Trophy back, which was amazing. I mean, there's so many things I can equate that to. I'm not going to do it on this show, but there's so many things I can equate that to. The legality of things which previously were not legal, and now people are being people that were previously penalized for it should not be penalized anymore. But that's neither here nor there or up here. But with that NIL deal, Caleb was already living large. Yeah. He's got this dope ass condo or whatever it is in LA, right? Ryan Clark, when he was on the Pivot podcast, they brought everyone over there. They showed him, and he just seemed like confident but not cocky, right? Like, I feel like he's a guy that's very sure of himself. He knows he was raised right. He fits the culture, I think, that Ryan Poles is trying to bring to the Chicago Bears. When you look at the moves that Ryan has made going into not just this season, but the previous season, trying to line everything up. I mean, these are chess level moves when everyone else is playing checkers. I mean, you think about the fact that what they got from Carolina out of that pick and what they ended up with. I mean, you can't, and they have another pick. I think the 2nd round pick next year.
Next year, yeah. So
yeah, come on, this is ridiculous. This is exciting.
Yeah, we got Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Montez Sweat, Keenan Allen, and what would be the other? Oh, what's
Bates from
And Bates in the 5th round, right? Yeah, in the 5th round. That is a haul. And we still got another pick next year. Thank you, Lovey. Thank you, Carolina, for being a disorganized organization. I think every team in Carolina is just in shambles at the moment.
The shame of it all in reality, right, is the fact that they went out and got Bryce Young.
They
and
got
then
the guy.
CJ Stroud had the type of season he had last year. The year after, Lovey did that to hook up the Bears. I mean, that's an MVP right there. It's the way that this team has turned around. I'd have to say in my lifetime, I can't remember a draft that leaves me as excited as this one does. And that's only based on the first 2 picks in the first round. You can't tell me anyone obviously there wasn't no one else really. I mean, other people did, but I mean, like, to that caliber had 2 first-round top 10 picks, and to come away with these 2 guys, it was just like, again, a masterclass.
Yeah.
The tackle that we picked up, I'm not even gonna try and say his name yet.
I got him. It's Kieran Amagaje.
Okay.
Easy to say.
The only thing because supposedly he had hamstring injury, so therefore, like, he didn't finish out the season last year. I think he only played 6 games from what I had heard. Sounds like he's a fantastic athlete and everything, but he wasn't able to do much at the combine. And then the rumor was, had he been able to go to the Senior Bowl and do everything at the combine and everything, that he probably would have worked himself into a 2nd round pick. So again, we got him a little later. Beautiful. The one thing I did say, that when we took a punter, I wasn't exactly, happy about that, because Van Pran, the center, was still out there on the board, and I feel like we still need a center, and we still need some interior offensive line. So when Van Pran was out there, I thought that was going to be the pick, and then all of a sudden, we drafted a punter, and I'm like we had a center right there, like, staring us in the face. So, polls must be really high on this Bates guy that, he's tried to acquire before in a draft pick, and then finally was able to trade for him this year. So he must be really high on Bates to once again stare a center down the barrel of a gun and say, nope, I'm going to go take a punter instead.
I think it's not just Bates, but I think you still have you're going to have roster cuts, right? They're going to come across. So I think it's that. I think that I think he's playing chess when we're all sitting here, like, learning how to play checkers, right? I think there's certain things that he already had in mind. And you look at Tory Taylor, that when we had the intro of the show with the guy from England, the international player of the year, or the international fan of the year, who says the best team in the NFC North, the best team in the NFC, the best team in the NFL. And then he comes out and he said, as an Englishman talking about a punter, they brought a punter. The big thing, the thing that was stupid was that Rich Eisen had to stick his beak in there and start talking while the guy was like, oh my God, shut the hell up. You stepped all over it. 24 hours in a 3-day span. You can't shut up and let this guy just sit there and talk. Like, shut up. And then he came out, and then the funny thing was, like, oh man, you got an Englishman to say punter. Like, that was kind of funny. But look, when you look at how bad Iowa football was historically through the season, terrible. He was their MVP. Yeah. And you got this Aussie kid who can pin it down. You're looking again. When I talk about chess and not checkers, you're looking at your defense. We know that we can pin you back, and we're trying to get Caleb the best possible field position that you can get. Right? This is not built overnight, but again, what is this? Is a couple of off seasons now.
According to Caleb, though, we're not going to be punting.
That was fantastic.
So according to Caleb, if we're not going to be punting, that's a wasted pick, isn't it?
No,
like when we have taken the center.
I absolutely love that. He calls up. He's like, hey, buddy, happy to have you on board. We're not going to need you that much. That is just like, I don't know, man. And then Roma Dunze comes out and says, I already hate Green Bay. When I see the color green, it makes me want to puke. That was the highest, the highest share, the highest thing on our page this week. It had like 1,600 shares. And I meticulously made all those draft graphics for each player, right? I got some more stuff coming in down the line. But that was the one. It's that hatred of Green Bay. I've been talking to Packers fans on Facebook, and I'm already seeing them. It's like, man, I really hated this draft for us as a Packers fan. We hate what happened because now the Bears are actually a threat. Now, Odunze, Caleb, Torrey Taylor, Amagaji hasn't taken the field in the NFL yet. We don't know what's going to happen, but damn, am I excited because like I said, I don't think I've seen even just with those first 2 picks a draft like this for our Chicago Bears.
I mean.
Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, one of the nice things is, like I said, with Amagaji, we've really been kind of filling that backup role with some veterans there that they're filling in, but this guy's like a high end, like can actually be a starter potential guy. So to have him, God forbid any injuries happen to Wright or Braxton Jones, this is going to be perfect to have him waiting in the wings. Like I said, we haven't had that guy that, could fill in on the offensive line, could be, a swing tackle, can be a whatever. Like I said, we've really struggled with that. So to see that as a need and fill it, that to me is perfect. Braxton Jones also will be coming up on a contract, I think within next year or the year after. So again, maybe a year or two to get his feet under him. And like I said, maybe we move on from Braxton and we don't pay Braxton what a left tackle needs to be paid. We keep that salary cap low from that position, and we keep paying some other players. So like I said, yeah, I mean, there is so much to be excited for and ready to roll. I mean, the only problem I see is, the Lions had a pretty good draft, the Packers had a pretty good draft, and the Vikings, we'll see what happens there. But I mean, our division alone, I mean, there's so much going on. It's going to be a brutal.
It's going to be exciting.
Battle,
It's going to be exciting season with everybody in the NFC North to be competitive for once. You're going to have all these teams. So you're going to rebuild these rivalries. Obviously, you have the Green Bay and the Chicago Bears, right? But now everybody's gunning for that number 1 spot. And everyone's almost on that even playing field at the moment. Obviously, we have Green Bay with a, second-year starter now, third-year starter with Love over there. You got Detroit, who really has Goff firing on all cylinders, and they have a potent offense and good defense and a hell of a coach over there. Minnesota's a hot mess right now. I don't know how they're going to fix that whole situation. The Bears are a young and upcoming team that's going to go out there and punch people in the face. Like, oh no, I'm on the block now. It's my block, and that's what you want. That's what Caleb's is saying. Is like, no, I got a weapon here, I got a weapon there, I got a weapon there. Hey, that punter we just got, he's just going to sit on the bench and just carry my clipboard all around all season because we ain't punting. We going all 4 downs and we're going to just shove it down your throat. That's what we're going to do. And I really love that. We needed that attitude. We haven't had that attitude since we had like Mike Brown and Urlacher and all those guys, that defense. They had attitude and people were scared of that defense. That's what we need. And finally, it's on the offensive side. So it should be very exciting. This is going to be probably one of the most exciting upcoming Bear seasons of our lives. And we've been, 42 years, 43 for E-Rock. I mean, it's so crazy because we've always been known for the defensive team that runs it down your throat. And, we're going to play black and blue, football. Now it looks like, what is it? Well, what's the football game where there's no rules and you just
blitz?
Yeah. Like we have all this firepower. We're just gonna throw it over everybody, and we're gonna get hit, flip over, and keep running. It feels like a video game. We really have a video game roster right now, and pray to whatever God you pray to that these kids do develop into what we're expecting them to develop into. to address a couple things that you guys said. Kieran Amagaje. Hey, I got it right.
Sure, you did.
Let's see. I looked up what they said about him. He says, from a size and athletic standpoint, Kieran pops on film because of his rare length, light feet, and smooth body control to mirror pass rushers or create momentum as a run blocker. Though he does a great job repositioning his hands and feet, his inexperience is also apparent when it comes to timing and adjustment fundamentals. So he will not be starting week 1. That's okay. He's going to learn under Braxton Jones, under Larry Borum, and he'll come off the bench. He'll spare them, and then hopefully by the end of the season he should be starting.
I mean, he's definitely a project. I think they came into it knowing that. I think Ryan Poles did his research on this guy, and I will speak on the fact that he is a local guy who went to Yale. And I'm not. None of you can sit here and tell me that I've watched all the Yale football games, because you're full of shit. Like, you're a liar, flat out. Like, no one watched Yale football. His mom was like, "Wait, Yale had a football team?" Like, that's how. Like, but look, they did their research. They saw, and like JC said, if he didn't have that injury, he probably would have popped somewhere in the second round. So, but when I mentioned him, going to Yale, what that tells me is you're talking about another well-spoken, intelligent, respectful cat. He's not going to sit there and be like, well, I don't, like Odell Beckham, like always push back against somebody. Well, you can't tell me. He's going to be the dude that will appreciate his spot in the NFL. It's the same way that Dunze speaks. He's a very well-spoken, intelligent guy. Same thing with Caleb. I think even with Tory Taylor, when you heard him speak, you just heard him. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can't wait. Yes, sir. I'm excited. This and that. Sir, 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 sir. I don't call nobody sir. Right? Like, so, I mean, he's better than I am. You know what I mean? As far as like that kind of attitude. But yeah, I mean, like, I think they did a really, really good job of looking at high character guys. What the kid from last year that they passed on that was losing their mind about Jalen Carter. Thank you, Jalen Carter. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm so good with that, because you started to build your line, starting with Tevin Jenkins, going down the line piece by piece by piece. Even Braxton Jones, they felt good about him. He is a draft pick of the Bears. You know what I mean? So you look at what they were trying to build, giving up draft capital this year to bring in players that they think could be difference makers, like Montez Sweat, right? Like, again, DJ Moore, so on and so forth. Even bringing in Keenan Allen with that 4th round pick that they traded to the Chargers. I can't stress enough when I talk about chess versus checkers. He's cooking, man. And look, we're not talking about macaroni and cheese in the box, right? We're talking about a full, like, back in the day MacArthur's. I heard it's not very good now, but if y'all know soul food in Chicago, MacArthur's back in the day was the spot, and that's where Ryan Poles was cooking when he first came to Chicago when he was on the Bears many years ago.
I haven't had that, so.
Oh,
I have Soleil or something like that on Chicago Avenue. That's very popular. So say this thing.
All right. So the Bears did also. Everyone thought that I think that was part of the outrage when they got Taylor, the punter from Iowa. They're like, "That's your last pick of the draft." Well, guess what the Bears did? Guess what Ryan Poles decided to do? They got the 5th round, 144 overall pick, and they traded their 4th round pick next year to the Bills. Another Bills trade, so they can move back into the draft. And they picked up defensive lineman Austin Booker from Kansas. He was like their top tacklers, their top everything on the line. So they're a lot of people were high on this kid. Obviously, when you get that late in the draft, you're not getting like the 5-star, but guess what? People get drafted in later rounds all the time. Richard Dent was drafted in the 8th round, which doesn't exist in the NFL anymore. Okay. So again, he went after a guy that he thought could be helpful and productive to the team. And I gotta say, we got to see how this draft is going to play out. But so far, Claypool was the one hiccup that I've seen out of Poles. We got to see how everything goes. Even with that punter, I know JC hated that pick, but I mean, like, I don't even remember the damn the guy they had before, but he stunk. He stunk. He was a 7th round pick punter. You get this guy right here. There was a lot of teams that were high on the punter. So, I mean, look, you you miss on 100% of the swings you don't take, right? You got to take a swing.
I wouldn't necessarily say like I hate the pick. To me, it was just like there was nobody that wanted to trade up. Like we couldn't have gotten, another fifth or a seventh or, anything, to move back 10 spots, To me, that was my only question is like, there was nothing available and nobody, no. All right. And again, if we were going to move up and back in with the 100 and whatever pick to grab the punter, then that I would understand. But like I said, to me, the fourth, like I said, I thought it was a little rich for my blood, but, it is what it is. I get the point. We're working on field spacing. Like if we can't drive the ball down the field, we're going to pin you within the 20, and then our defense is going to, hold and, stop you from getting down the field. Now, as for the edge rusher that we did pick up, he definitely fits that body type that Flus and Poles likes. What is he, 6'4", 250 or 265? So he's definitely in that body archetype that they prefer. They like those tall, long arm defensive ends. The only problem with him is, from everything you read, like he only started, I think it was like one game last year. So he was kind of more of a rotational guy from the sounds of it. Sounds like he's one of those high motor, chase you down from behind kind of guys. So, you know what, if he gets with Sweat and, we can hopefully get him trained up, get him some secondary, other than just bull rush. Hopefully he becomes something, like I said, he's got the body type, that they like, you can't teach that body type, there's only so many guys that are 6'4", 6'5". Now the only thing is on his, draft whatever report, they basically said he didn't have much bend, didn't have much dip, so again getting around that corner could be an issue for him in the future. But like I said, if we teach him some spin moves, we teach him some other moves that don't necessarily have to do with him dipping and getting around that edge, maybe coming back inside, like I said, I hope he becomes a guy, but like I said, I mean, with everything we walked away with in this draft, there's nothing to be mad at. Like I said, we got a punter that's going to bury you deep. I think there was a statistic for the punter that in 145 attempts, he had like some ridiculous like rate of pinning you within the 20. I think, or maybe it was like 145 of his attempts, 145, he was able to pin you in the 20.
He had a 46.3 yard average on punting, over 4,400 yards. He had 32 punts inside the 20-yard line this past season, and led with 29 fair catches. Let's see what else he got. His 11.9.
Yeah, over his career, I think it was like 145. Where 145 times he pinned it in 20.
So he's accurate
over his college career. So I mean, and again, they were showing him like he punted 70 yards, so even though the average is 46, that just means your offense got a little further down the field than normal. But like I said, to have a guy that can pin you down there deep, the other problem is like our punter was not very good. I would like to see us bring in some more legs for training camp because, I know Cairo Santos has been a good kicker for us, but his length is 52 yards max, which to me is not very good. When you look around the league, some of these guys are kicking 62, 64. And like I said, to have Cairo maxing out at 52.
But listen, we got a great punter. We got Williams. We ain't gonna need to kick like that. I mean, we gonna need those.
Listen,
what are we talking about here?
We putting points on the board no matter what. If we get across that 50, I want points on the board.
We're not even getting extra points. We're going for two now.
That's kicking 60 yards, man.
Listen, I got a brand new robotic leg, bro. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm kicking it from here to Green Bay. I don't care about the win off the lake. Let's go.
Yeah. Like I said, to me, it's just one of those. Like I said, because what was it last year? Like we got into a game and it was a windy game, and they basically got to go for it because his legs. Yeah, I mean, like, so to me, like I said, I wouldn't mind bringing in a few more camp legs. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, if Cairo still is the best you got, then fine. But you know, like I said, I'm all for competition. So, like I said, hopefully we can bring in a couple more camp legs and see what we got.
It's funny that you say that because Ryan Poles came out and says it is going to be difficult to make this roster. Okay. He's looking for upgrades at every single position. You can tell there's positions that he's comfortable at, right? You look at, like I said, last year's offseason, bringing in the 2 linebackers, shoring up Jalen Johnson, you know, looking at going across the board, looking at the defensive moves that he's made in the secondary. He seems very comfortable with the moves that he's made as far as that end of that side of the ball. There's of course a couple, looking for. I mean, Ngakwe's still in play, right? Like he's a guy that when he had a broken ankle last year. But again, that's when I talk about like some of the veteran free agents that are going to be out there. Just like last year, Ngakoue didn't sign until like they were getting ready to take the field, right? So like there's definitely options out there. And you look at the kid they just brought in, we were just talking about. The first thing he did in his press conference was go up to Montez or talk about being excited to learn from Montez Sweat. Now there was a lot of debate whether they should have went after Chase Young because he's a couple years younger than Montez and all this stuff. But guess what? Montez plays younger than Chase Young, and Chase Young. I mean, did he get a deal yet? Because he went to San Francisco in the trade. He was a free agent, so I haven't heard his name in a while.
Crickets.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if he got picked up yet. But to me, like Ngakoue, like I know he's a name out there, but he didn't really impress me very much last year. I know he had some injuries and stuff last year, but to me, like we definitely can't give him the same contract that we gave him last year. He's going to have to come in for a little less money. If that's just my opinion. Like I said, looking at the roster, I mean, we upgraded a safety with I'm blanking on his name now, but we replaced Ejax. In my opinion, the safety we got now, huge upgrade. Byard, there we go. So to me, like that is a huge upgrade in the secondary. We got Stevenson, we got Gordon, we got Jalen Johnson. So like I said, I mean, we're looking pretty good in the secondary. I know the second game we went against the Packers, I mean, they kind of just tore us with these under dink and dunk in like finding the open zones. And they kind of just move the ball down the field on us. So like I said, we got to find some way of, fixing that. And, but to me, like I said, getting an upgrade to Ejax was such a huge move in the off season because, I mean, unfortunately, Ejax, he doesn't tackle. He doesn't want to tackle. He has no interest in tackling. So to me, to get Byard in, and like I said, that to me is a huge upgrade.
So just a quick look here at a couple of the other free agent signings they made. Jake Curran, who is an offensive lineman, formerly from the Seahawks. Byron is D-line from the Texans. Jake Martin from D-line from the Colts. Everyone's favorites, bum Dante Pettis is back. Yay. So, and then what is his name? I just said his name. Simone Biles' husband. He's here too. And guess what? They already love Chicago way more than Green Bay. How easy is that? You know what I mean? Like you went from a town that has one thing going on 8 times a year to, the best summer city in the world.
Yeah, well, Simone said she was happy not to have to jump on 2 planes to get to one place, So now she could just hop on a plane straight to Chicago.
And don't forget DeAndre Swift. Do not forget DeAndre Swift. I mean, that right there. You look at again. I can't stress enough. Checkers or chess versus checkers. It's been upgrades at every position. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what Poles has been able to do in 3 seasons, being able to undo what the other Ryan did. Right?
Yeah. All right, boys. Let's
for me, it's more the depth now. Like I said, it's making sure, like I said, taking the offensive tackle this year in the draft, perfect. That builds our depth, right? So now we are a little more secure. If there's an injury that happens, like I said, we got somebody waiting in the wings that, should hopefully be a decent player ready in the wings, and that's the thing is, you look at some of these teams, the Houston Texans now, I mean, the Steelers had an amazing draft this year. Arizona, they had 11 something picks. So they built their depth now. Like I said, they got a ton of roster depth sitting behind them, ready to go. So to me, like I said, that's where the Bears need to be. Like we're talking about Dante Pettis. Well, yes, he's not that guy, but again, he's going to be battling with Scott and oh God, who's the wide receiver that was 26 years old when we drafted?
Velus Jones.
Velus Jones. There we go. So, like I said, I think Velus may have a role on this team just now because of the new kickoff and punt return rules that have changed. So I think he may have a role with that.
That is his job, to carry everyone's bags. Go home.
Like I said, I think he has a role as a punt and kick returner now with the new rules. I mean, even Dante Pettis potentially. I don't know who or what Pettis's role was. Maybe he was a punt returner more last year or whatever. But
listen,
like I said, it's decent depth. That Pettis has played a role, and he had a decent role with San Francisco when he was a freshman or sophomore in the league.
His role roll out
and
go away. That should be his role. I'm tired. Look, we've upgraded all these positions. We got to stop letting these bums stay here. We don't need Pettis no more. Go away. Right? Tyler Scott, you brought him in from Cincinnati because he was a fast young guy. He had a problem holding on to the ball. Look, you like I said, Ryan Poles came out and says it will be difficult to make this roster. Okay, you still got to look at the free agents out there. Make your moves. I'm good with Velus Jones being gone. I'm good with Dante Pettis being gone. Backfill your roster with guys who they just couldn't afford to pay at another team, but still could be valuable to an NFL team. I'm tired. We're refreshing. We can get rid of the garbage now. Just toss it out. And let's keep going. Let's keep moving. Move forward.
Yeah, the one guy that I told you guys about last there, once we had already signed off, the one wide receiver that I kept an eye on was Malik Washington out of Virginia. He was a 5'8" and maybe 3/4 guy. So he's a smaller guy, 185 pounds, but he's one of those Wes Welker types. He 114 catches in college last season, 1,400 yards. I think it was eight or nine touchdowns. But only 3 drops on all the targets that he had, which I think he had 140 or 150 targets. He only had 3 drops the entire season last year. And where did he end up? The freaking Miami Dolphins. That was the one guy I was keeping an eye on, as a very late round guy. And he ends up going to the Miami Dolphins where, they just
a speedster. Yeah, I did see the guy.
Yeah.
All right,
like I said,
let's take a quick break real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll go into what's going to go on next with the Bears, especially with free agency and the depth chart. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
This is Chicago. Doors.
This one.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with Big Z in the house. We got E-Rock and we got JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football. It has been all Bears all day, all night, all summer until opening day. It is literally going to be like that the rest of the summer because, you know, the White Sox suck, the Bulls suck, the Blackhawks suck. The Cubs may make some noise, hopefully. But, you know, it is super refreshing to be on the positive side talking about the Bears. It's going to be fun talking about them for 17 weeks during the season, plus the preseason. But them tickets are going to be hard to get now, especially if you're going to go to Hallis Hall for training. What is it?
Training camp.
Training camp.
We went there.
Mini camp, training camp. Yeah, we went up there a couple years ago. It's going to be hard to get up there. And, you know, those tickets are going to go for premium, and I'm going to have to call in a couple favors again. So we got the draft covered. Ryan Poles gets an A for his draft grade. I know drafting a punter in the 4th round like JC is a little rich, but we've been saying that he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He went out there and got the best special teamer while everyone else was doing something else. So he got a specialist, he got a surgeon on the special teams. That's what he got. So now that that's done, we should be looking now at our depth chart and seeing what holes are left to fill. So if you guys can pull up your depth chart for the Chicago Bears, obviously we know that at wide receiver we are set. At tight end we are set.
Yep.
Right. At running back we are set. So on offense, what holes do we have that we need to fill? We know we have center that needs to be upgraded. We know that. But what else can we fill?
So they did release the undrafted free agents that the Bears signed. I'll run that down for you real quick.
Yeah.
Austin Reed, Western Kentucky quarterback. He started at SIU, finished at Western Kentucky. He was the Conference USC Newcomer of the Year, second team all-conference status in 22. They brought in Brendan Bates, University of Kentucky tight end, Ian Wheeler, Howard University running back. He scored kick return touchdowns at Howard in each of the last 3 seasons, so that they could be looking at him as a returner. Theo Benedict, he is a University of British Columbia offensive lineman. They went north of the border for this one, so they grabbed a Canadian, so you know he's going to bring all his syrup. Carl Jones, UCLA edge defender. He was actually on the other side of Latu from UCLA. So I'm sure during the scouting process, they got a good look at him. Jamri Chroma, he is James Madison D end, another East-West Shrine Bowl participant, all first team, all Sun Belt performer. And the guy named Reddy Stewart, a Troy University cornerback. All Sun Belt first team honoree. So he had 9 interceptions and 3 pick sixes in his college career. And 7 of those 9 picks came in the last 2 seasons. So you can see where they're going. You're going defensive end. You know what I mean? So these are guys that, you know, they might make the team. You're going to see them in the preseason, but that's a couple of guys that they went after in the undrafted free agency pool. Funny enough, so as far as the remaining free agents in the NFL right now, as far as veterans go, a couple of former Chicago Bears with Trevor Siemian and Brian Hoyer. I think you look at what's going on in the quarterback room. There's definitely. I still think that they could use a more established guy. You also have Ryan Tannehill out there, which I wouldn't be opposed to. But Ryan Tannehill is going to be a guy that signs with a team that has like an emergency and someone that gets injured. Funny thing today, I think it was either today or yesterday. Ezekiel Elliott went back to Dallas, which I thought was kind of cool. Good for him, because they don't have nothing going on down there. The Dallas Cowboys didn't do a damn thing in free agency, so it's very interesting and glad for my guy Miguel, who was on a show way back when, the firefighter. Good for him. He got Zeke back, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why you would want him. But I think they're pretty set at running back too. But you still got like guys like Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt is a name that I kind of wanted the Bears to go after a couple times. Gordon, and as far as wide receivers is kind of interesting. Michael Thomas is still out there. Michael Gallup, Nicole Hardman, DJ Chark. There's a lot of guys that were names a couple of years ago. Randall Cobb, the 47-year-old receiver that's been following around Aaron Rodgers for the last few seasons. Jakeem Grant is another guy that was on the Bears at one point, a returner that was on the Dolphins as well. So there's definitely a couple of guys out there. I don't care about tight ends, offensive tackles. David Bakhtiari is out there. Now, I'm pretty sure he was injured at the end of the last season, and I'd be kind of surprised with the way that the Green Bay kind of handles their own guys if he doesn't end up back there in some capacity. Old Bear Charles Leno, who has been at Washington for the last couple of seasons, is out there. Riley Reif is out there. Jason Peters, who is another guy that's 47 years old, and I think Mekhi Becton just signed somewhere else. There's definitely, again, there's guys out there that can be had, but I think we look at centers, Scott Quisenberry, Brian Allen, Lucas Patrick, who, funny enough, Lucas Patrick came into my job a few months ago.
Really?
Yeah. We saw him roaming around and I was like, hey, who's that guy? And I was like, he's not a very good football player. That's who he is. Connor Williams, Mason Cole, Brian Allen, Lucas Patrick, Connor McGovern, Scott Quisenberry, and Nick Gates are your free agent centers currently. So, I mean, I guess there's names out there, a couple of names that people have recognized, but there's a reason, again, why Lucas Patrick, who was a previous Green Bay Packer, why he flamed out here in Chicago. So there's names out there. It's just not anyone that you necessarily want on your team.
We got Beto chiming in. He said he was talking about you have to yell for Cubs win and bear down. We got David watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. What's up, David?
Yeah.
Yes, he says, congratulations on getting the number one pick, Caleb Williams. Thanks, David. It's going to be a fun and exciting season. One thing that we didn't touch on today, the Buffalo Bills are trading Stephon Diggs to Houston, along with a 2024 sixth-round pick and a 2025 fifth-rounder in exchange for a second round in 2025. This is huge.
The rich are getting richer because the way that the Texans looked last year, and then you add a guy like Stephon Diggs to this team. Now, Tank Dell, there was news about Tank Dell. He got shot at a party in Miami, I think it was. So it didn't seem to be anything major. Seems like, someone with a case of the bang bangs down there, because I think 10 people got shot. I don't think anyone got like very seriously shot, but yeah, I mean, it's just,
yeah, it was supposedly because I have Tank Dell on my fantasy team. So it was supposedly started out as a fist fight and an argument, and then young kid with a gun decided to go bang bang, as you said. But supposedly Tank Dell was, minor wound from everything that was said, in and out of the hospital overnight. So hopefully he's good and everything's okay with him. But yeah, I mean, Houston Texans, the rich just keep getting richer. Kind of like the Bears, it's just, they're making great moves. They're, taking players that from teams that are overstretched on the salary cap, and they have young quarterbacks that they can afford to spend the money. Unfortunately, I don't know when the salary cap and the quarterback money starts drying up and teams start saying, listen, we're already paying you $50 million a year. We can't go to 60. We can't go to 70. We can't go to 80. Like, there's only a certain percentage of the salary cap that we can, allot to your position. And we're starting to stretch that now, where you see that, granted, Kansas City has done more with less. They were able to extend Kelsey today. But I mean, you look at their wide receiver room, and I mean, their wide receiver room got a little worse because you don't know what's going to happen with Rice after that vehicle accident on a highway.
Yep.
But I mean, they haven't been doing very well at drafting wide receivers in Kansas City. And like I said, they're not spending big money on the position. Their best corner, they just basically traded away. So because they couldn't pay him. So it's one where, you look at, was it like maybe 9 years ago, Drew Brees and Tom Brady were making $20 million. Now all of a sudden we're pushing 60 in a matter of less than 10 years. So teams eventually are going to have to slow down this, we have to top and top and top and top and top and, keep going above and beyond. At some point we got to look at a player and go, yeah, you're good, but you're not better than so-and-so. Like, well, I understand you want to be the best paid guy, but guess what? You're not the best player.
That's the situation that Kansas City found themselves in, right? Because and that's the situation that I think the Bears hope that they're in a couple years. When you look at the two rookies that they just brought in the top 10 picks of the draft. But I mean, you can't not pay Pat Mahomes, right? You have to pay that guy, and that's what really burned them. That's the reason that they don't have Tyreek Hill on the team anymore. And yes, they have Kelsey, and they found they're finding ways to win championships still. But I mean, you can see physically what the toll is taken on Pat Mahomes in the last couple of seasons. I mean, he's limping and just dragging his body to the end of the season. They got knocked out in the very first game of the season and I think it was kind of a little bit of a foreshadowing to see what the Detroit Lions were going to do throughout the season when they knocked down the door on the Kansas City Chiefs in the very first game of last year on that Thursday night game. But at the end of the day, what do you see? You see Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey once again hoisting up that trophy. And I think that's a testament to him. And I think that's what we're hoping can happen in Chicago, right? Whether it's a couple of years from now and Keenan Allen is watching because he's no longer in the NFL, and maybe DJ Moore is already aged out at that point, because now you're talking about Caleb and Rome being older guys in the NFL, right? That's where you want to be. That's where you hope to be. That you have to sit there and like, well, we're good enough to have to figure it out with whoever we have. Martez Van Skelding, whatever the scalding my skin with a crappy play, whatever, the stupid guy.
But like the bottom line is, to me eventually, like, and I understand, there's all this money from the streaming services coming in and all this stuff, and the salary cap's increasing and yada, yada, yada. But the salary cap is not increasing at the same rate that the player salaries are increasing. Nope. Like I said, I mean, you got wide receivers getting 30 million a year. You got quarterbacks getting 50 to 60 million a year. You got, defensive tackles, left tackles. Like, I mean, they're all getting paid. Like, the only position not getting paid anymore is tight end and running back. So, and like I said, it's one of those where, like I said, I just look at it, for the next 5 years, and this was part of it. This is why we didn't stick with Justin Fields, right? So that we could reset that salary cap on the rookie quarterback scale, and we have that salary cap to spend elsewhere. So big up the polls. He made that move, made that decision. Going back to our depth chart, I mean, just going over it, looking at let's look at it. Wide receiver, DJ Moore, Roma Dune,
Yep.
Keenan Allen,
Yep.
Velus Jones, Tyler Scott. Then we got Colin Johnson, Dante Pettis, Nasimba Webster, and Odi Hilaire.
Yep.
Left tackle, you got Braxton Jones with Kyrian behind. Then right tackle, you got Darnell Wright, Larry Borum, which Borum, has been serviceable when needed. Right guard, you got Nate Davis. Center right now looks like you got Tevin Jenkins and Braxton Jones. So that's your starting, which I believe Tevin Jenkins is a free agent next year. So we'll have to look at that next year, potentially in the draft. Running back, we got Swift, Herbert, Roshan. Perfect. And you got Travis Horner as kind of that smaller scat back role. To me, like I said, looking at this, we really need to see hopefully Zach Pickens, who we took last year in the draft. Hopefully he comes along this year, because we did lose one of our defensive tackles, or quote unquote nose tackle, in the offseason. But you got Montez Sweat, Andrew Billings, Jervon Dexter Sr., DeMarcus Walker, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanborn. Linebacker, maybe depth wise, we could use some depth there behind TJ, Tremaine, and Sanborn. I don't know that we have, that linebacker behind that you would really trust if one of those guys goes down. Strong safety, you got Brisker and Owens. That's perfect. You got Byard at free safety. Maybe we could use something behind him. But other than that, Kyler Gordon, Stevenson, and Jalen Johnson. So, and who was the rookie last year? Was it Terrell Smith that was kind of playing when Gordon was hurt? He was a great option as well, behind those three starters in Stevenson, Jalen, and Gordon. So, like I said, Trenton Gill, who was our punter last year, he wasn't the best punter. So, we go out, we get a young punter that can punt 70 yards. Boom, there we go. We're moving on. Like I said, Cairo Santos, I would really love to bring in a camp leg to go against him. Somebody younger, a younger guy from college, that hopefully can, punt more than or kick more than 52 yards. But other than that, looking at the depth chart, I'm not mad at it. Like I said, I think center and right guard would be the only things I'd be looking at, like long term, in the way of, having some depth there for the long term. But other than that, I'm not mad at anything on our depth chart right now.
No, I actually kind of like what Nate Davis brought to the table last year when you saw him when he was healthy. He seemed like
and that's the thing, is when he was healthy. He wasn't healthy much last year. So
that's the thing with any position. It doesn't matter, but I think he does have the talent there. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, he did have a couple of mental health issues that he was kind of dealing with, and that's what held him back early in the season. Physical injuries are what they are. You can't, you can do whatever you can as far as training and things like that to help it. But I mean, I do appreciate the fact that the NFL has really taken the initiative to focus on mental health for a lot of players. There was a story that came out. It was Jerry Rice's son who was just drafted. I forget which team he was drafted to, but he either directly after the draft or instead of attending the draft, he went to attend the funeral of a former teammate of his who, they found passed away in his apartment, and it seems like it was self-inflicted. So there's a lot of things going on as far as like the NFL really taking the initiative and pointing that out and making sure that, hey, it's not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing. And for anyone who watched Ted Lasso,
great show.
anyone that watched Ted Lasso knows how important that is to not just the mental health of an individual, but the mental health of a team and how they support each other. And I think that's one of the more encouraging things about a guy like Caleb Williams, is because he's all about that. He's all about bringing everyone up. You notice that he has made contact with, like I said, with every draft pick that they made. He formed a connection with Odunze before they even made the draft. And, Odunze was flying that plane, so we all know what was going on over there.
He was
one,
playing?
that was like, hey, they were on the plane together. They must be, you know what I mean? That was kind of, but one name that was really stands out to me is Javon Dexter. Okay. He was a guy that really seemed that they were really high on, and he really seemed to kind of come on, especially towards the end of the season when they got Sweat. They got someone to kind of play on the other side. So it'll be really interesting. I'm not the other side next to him. It'll be really interesting to see how he's developed in this off season. I really do think that, as silly as it may sound, but bringing in a guy like Caleb, like Odunze, and the way that they speak and the fact that they're well-spoken and intelligent, I think that bodes well for the mental health of the team. It's, again, as weird as that sounds, but when you have guys that seem sure of themselves, seem like, yes, look, guys, like, we're going to have ups, we're going to have downs. I mean, you all have been part of a team, whether it's been playing or coaching. You understand that there is a dynamic when it comes to the people that are around you that helps you out with your success, because confidence is infectious, it's contagious, right? So when you look at the way that Rick Grimes, Matt Eberflus has come on in the last few months, and the way that he communicates with his team, I think we're in a really good spot. Seeing Poles confident, not just when he's out there talking about the players, but when he's talking about the moves that he's made, when he talks about his relationship with Eberflus, his relationship with the rest of the coaches, Kevin Warren being around to support everyone. I think that this is it, and it's been said on multiple shows and multiple times, this is the best situation for a rookie quarterback to come into in ever. You could say that if you want to. I'm not going to dispute that.
Yeah, I would say the Vikings are a very close second this year. I mean, with their wide receiver core as well, with Jordan Addison and Jamar Jefferson, they don't have a terrible offensive line. Like I said, I don't think they got as good of a quarterback as we did. But I mean, like I said, they definitely put, of all the positions, I think it was us, the Commanders, and then definitely the Vikings were the best landing spots for these quarterbacks, in that order. That said, talking about Javon Dexter, he was, of all the defensive tackles that were drafted last year, he was only second to Carter in pass rush and quarterback pressures. And even that, seeing as where Dexter was drafted versus where Carter was drafted, it was like a clear day and night. Like, you got Dexter, I forget what round was Dexter drafted in. But I mean, it was one of those, it was a huge positional, the fact that he was drafted so much later than Carter, but was performing slightly just below. It was a huge steal for us as a Bears organization, because I mean, he just played very well. So like I said, hopefully, Pickens, who was, I can't remember if he was drafted before or after Dexter, but he was drafted in the same round, I believe, or maybe one round after. But they came in together. Hopefully Pickens will, maybe year two start making some progressions, because like I said, I would love to see that rotation on those front defensive tackles start getting going, because that would be awesome to see. Just a good pass rush up the middle, good run stuffers. One of the UDFAs that we signed, and I'm not sure if it is Keith Randolph or if it was Jamari Chroma. One of those two. There was a lot of hype that he should have been a 5th or 6th round pick, but he ends up going UDFA. So the Bears got potentially a decent prospect there, undrafted free agent. So hopefully they can come in and, fight for a spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of battles out there, and signing these undrafted free agents and rookies is going to fill out the roster for the Chicago Bears. So what we're going to do, and as you guys were, mentioning all this, what popped into my head was we have a lot of young talent going around with all the different Chicago teams. If you look at the Bears, it's a new culture. It's a whole new way of thinking, new way of doing things. We have Caleb, who's like Erock said, that he's going to be a leader. He's already talked to pretty much everyone that's been drafted, saying, "Come on, let's go, get on the train. We're going to ride this all the way through. Let's go." You've got, with the Blackhawks, you got Connor Bedard and Kevin Korchinski, a good base to start with the Blackhawks rebuilding. They're going to have either number 1 or number 2 pick this draft. This is a young Chicago resurgence and rebuild for a lot of these teams, and they're coming up all together.
I just want to real quick have Big Z say what was the other guy on the Blackhawks besides Connor Bedard real quick?
Korchinski.
Oh man, that's my favorite part of the show. Is just that's why JC. I wish you would have gave him a list of like names to say when you were just sitting there struggling through names. I'm like, bro, this is Big Z's bread and butter right here. I mean, he loves just saying everyone's name wrong. That's my favorite part of the show.
Hey,
Isn't that Korchinski?
Sure,
Korchinski.
Look, if you don't know, how the hell do I know?
I'm reading it. It's Korchinski. I mean, I got Polish friends.
Look, you just proven that you're from Chicago. That's all. That's Ukraine. That's living in Ukrainian village. That's what that is.
I know all the skis, man. Come on. I mean, you got the Blackhawks young and up and coming. The Bears completing, this is like phase 2 of the rebuild. We got, one more good draft. So a couple of free agents next year. And man, we are going to be so hot. You got the Cubs. Lots of young talent on that team, right? You supplement it with some veterans. I think they're a couple moves away. I still think they need, a bullpen, another starter, because Kyle Hendricks and Drew Smiley are just ass right now. I'm sorry?
Trevor Bauer is cooking in Mexico. Go get him already. Trevor Bauer, what are you doing?
That's what we've been saying for 3 months already, man.
I'm just saying he's cooking over there. He's cooking.
Yeah, he had 9 strikeouts the last thing.
The only problem is also he's not cooking against MLB players, so little discretion.
Hey, did Mexico beat up on the U.S. in the cup or whatever? I forget what they call it. The baseball World Cup or whatever the hell it's called.
Baseball World Classic.
Yeah, there you go. Mexico beat up on the U.S. So I mean, hey, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
I mean,
yeah, but I don't think it's all their stars on one team that Bauer's pitching against every day.
No.
So, like I said, we talked about it.
Wagon, weren't you driving the bus, Trevor Bauer? What are you talking about now?
Yeah, no. Like I said, I've been driving that bus. Like I said, I've said multiple times. Hey, for $700,000 league minimum, yes, I would sign him. Get him on the field. Let him show. Hey, I can throw a 2.45 ERA, something respectable. And then at the end of the season, you trade him for, a future prospect or some picks or, whatever. And we move on from him at a league minimum, because there's going to be some other team, if say the Cubs are not able to get there, or they don't look like they're going to be one of the teams that can seriously compete, against the Dodgers or whoever, will be there. Like I said, you could easily flip him for some prospects to another team at a league minimum of $700,000.
That's you haven't read the fine print. So 700 to start with, and then he wants escalated bonuses. So based on how many wins, how many strikeouts, how many appearances, he'll get paid on those things. So while yes, $700,000 is cheap for the team that's signing him, at the trade deadline, that could be a $5 to $10 million contract.
Well, again, you want back in the MLB, you sign what I offer you. You can sit here and say, I want escalators and all this other stuff. Do you want back in the MLB? Yes or no?
Mhm.
You want back in the MLB? Guess what? This contract is topping out at $4 million.
Which is fine. Which is completely fine.
I'm
But the
gonna give
teams
you
have
the
all
shot.
power.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, you want the shot, you want to be back in the show. I will give it to you, but we ain't talking 10 million. We're talking somewhere maybe 4 to 5. Yeah, I mean, we're keeping it where at the end of the season, if I need to trade you, I can trade you. Like that. That's where we're at now.
No problem with that at all. I mean,
like I said,
you're getting him for what you need him for right now, and if you're waiting for some of the other guys to come up in the meantime, but you need to attack that rotation, and you need to find another couple of bullpen arms if you really honestly truly believe that when you're fully healthy as far as the offense on the field, when Suzuki comes back, when you get Cody coming back, Neris could be the closer for sure. I mean, but since he's come to the Cubs, he doesn't have that flash that he did with the Astros. So if he can kind of get back in his groove, he can definitely be the closer of the team. But that means that you have to find someone else to fill those other spots in the bullpen as well. You can't go out there trotting out Kyle Hendricks and Drew Smiley. You just can't do it because it's, again, I talked about it last time. That's a nightmare scenario, right? You get Hendricks starting and Smiley. Like, I'm not smiling when Smiley's up there. It's not happening.
Oh, you're definitely not smiling. Never. No. I know. Go ahead.
I do want to mention one thing. We're talking about young players, and I think you look at what's going on with the Blackhawks right now. Did they have a great season? No, but Bedard was phenomenal. I mean, he just played his ass off, right? You look at what's going on with the Cubs, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze. You're look at what's going on with the Cubs right now. Michael Busch killing it at first. Morel is a little shaky right now. He's not really throwing the ball that great as from third to first, and he's not really doing well on offense right now either. But PCA came up, got his first major league hit, which was a home run. That was awesome. They struggled in game 2 against the Red Sox over in Boston, but we did see Matt Mervis make his pitching debut. That was awesome in that 17-0 loss that the Cubs took. But what
I blame my friends who decided to fly from Chicago to Boston to attend that game. All 4 of you, if you're listening, you are mushes. You are the reason that we lost 17-0.
I think they should buy us Italian beefs. It's because of that.
Look,
it's three of my guys flew from Chicago. One of my guys flew from Arizona because they just wanted to attend the Cubs game in Fenway. I mean,
it's
probably
funny
not the best game to attend.
I did not realize that they were playing the Red Sox in Boston. And as soon as I learned that, I'm like, every time the Cubs go to Boston, I say to myself, I wish I would have went to that freaking game. I keep wanting to go and I keep forgetting. Now, it's not saying that I want to go to Boston in April because I'm sure it's shit weather like it is here. I've never been to Fenway. I really want to go, and that's when else. I'm not going to see the White Sox over there. I'm not. I can't. If I'm going to go watch a historic team play in a historic ballpark, it's going to be the Cubs and it's going to be the Red Sox. That's still in the bucket list. I'm hoping, but I want to mention this before we get too deep into the show. We don't have time. I don't want to run out. We talk about young players. We are about to start. We just had the WNBA draft. We're about to start the WNBA season.
Yep.
Mila Cardoso and Angel Reese came to the Chicago Sky. Very high picks. There was 5 members of the media to meet Angel Reese. That is an absolute embarrassment after you just got 2 players that just finished winning the last 2 NCAA championships. Caitlin Clark is getting all the love in the world, and good for her. But you as a Chicago media, you as a Chicago sports town that loves our sports, how are you just going to sit there and flat out ignore the Chicago Sky after they just brought you a championship a couple years ago? Candace Parker. I was going to mention her. Thanks for stealing my thunder and contributing to the show, David.
Hey, but David's watching and listening, so we love David.
You had Candace help bring a championship here. A lot of people are saying she was afraid of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all these guys, which, whatever. I mean, like, she's doing her thing. She's making her money. But how are you the third largest media market in the United States in the sports landscape, and it's supposed to be an amazing sports town? We got 2 baseball teams, we got every sport you can imagine here, and you just completely ignore this team. That's an embarrassment to the media of Chicago. I'm really upset about this.
You know what? I didn't even know when that it was happening. So we need them to be a little bit more aggressive and spend a little bit more money when it comes to advertising these things, right? If Caleb were to do a Instagram live right now, it would have millions. If the Chicago Sky would to go live right now, it'd probably have maybe 40 people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they would turn us off immediately and go to Caleb. Like,
yes.
Like,
oh no, 100%. And we don't blame you. We don't blame you. We don't blame you. We want to know what color Caleb was painting his nails. But it is like you said, it is very much a disgrace. I do support the Chicago Sky. I've been to multiple games. I went to the playoff games. It's fun to go down there. It's a good team. But there's no connection, unfortunately, with the fan base right now. And whether it's a male or female that's supporting the team, there's no connection. And I think they are playing in a small venue that's kind of hard to get to. They're playing at the Winchester Arena down right by McCormick Place. And yes, it's beautiful because it's right there off the lake. But at the same time, it's kind of difficult to get there. Would I prefer they played at the Allstate Arena or the United Center? Yeah, but I think the United Center is a little too big for them. They should move that Indiana game over.
Town, they'll play in the United Center.
It hasn't been.
The perfect place for the Sky to play is where the G League plays.
Where the what?
Out in where the Bulls G League. What is it out by
the Schaumburg Center? Yeah, they used to play there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I said, it's you don't want to get too big a venue because to host events, it's a lot of money to turn the lights on. So you get too big a venue, it's a lot.
Right. It is. And most of those tickets that, you get fans to go there are free tickets. They're free tickets given out to friends and family or the schools.
Radio stations.
Exactly. It is a lot of free tickets. They want to get people in the building. And it's a fun time. It really is a fun time down there with the Chicago Sky. Tickets are fairly cheap. The stadium is a pretty cool stadium. Remember, me and E-Rock went over there for was it not a Bellator fight?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's hey, why not put them at the UIC arena? You have college kids there. You can create interest there. You partner up with UIC. Create a funnel for to go through there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, they play it.
Now, one thing I will say is that I 100% believe that this is on the Chicago Sky, because listening to the radio today, listening to the media, I think it was Cap and Jay Hood and all this. Nobody reached out to the radio stations. Nobody reached out and says, "Hey, this is what our thing is." You have to do what. Hey, Tribune, Sun Times, The Athletic, CHGO, True Chicago Sports Fans, ESPN. Call us up. We'll show up. You know what I mean? Like, make it a big deal. Make it a big deal for all the kids in the city, for all the girls out there playing sports that want to see, because there's not other women's professional sports in Chicago right now, right?
No, there isn't. This is how you do it. What girls basketball team won a championship in the city? Oh, no one knows, right? Because no one. That's not on the news. But let's say for example, let's say it was Whitney Young. You hold a press conference at Whitney Young with that team. That's going to get press. You're doing it at a CPS school. You're giving back. You're creating a connection with young people. You got to learn how to do that for yourself and advocate for yourself. So, again, I am a big supporter. I'll be following the games, and I guess they're on. What are they on? NBC Sports Chicago. I
think a lot of those games are going to be on Marquee.
Oh, that's right. They switched to Marquee.
Yeah, a lot of games.
So no one's going to be watching them. Great.
No. All of us intelligent fans have Marquee.
No. You have to subscribe to Marquee, and no one's who. God.
Hey,
Do you have to subscribe to Marquee? because I don't.
Yeah,
We'll talk after the show, JC. I need the
various activities. That's what he's talking about right there.
I don't know what you were talking about, sir. All my stuff is on the up and up.
Hey, one more thing before we kind of get towards the end.
Yeah, we'll close out.
Up and up. I know a lot of people are tired of Kelsey, whether it's Travis, whether it's Jason. I love Jason Kelsey. I think he's awesome. Came out at WrestleMania when they were in Philly. Yeah. And guess what? He is going to be one of the new hosts on Monday Night Countdown. I'm super excited to see him as part of the media. I think it's really cool. Another thing that's coming out that's sports related is the roast of Tom Brady is going to be on Netflix, and apparently Bill Belichick is going to be involved in it. He's going to be there, so we're going to actually get to hear him say something from under the hoodie. Oh, the emperor over there. We're going to see him actually make some jokes. So I'm really looking forward to it because everyone always says that he has a great sense of humor. You just never actually hear it unless you're in that locker room with him.
Yeah, well, Bill Belichick did not have a whole lot of nice things to say about Caleb. So, hopefully he has better things to say about Tom.
So what? He hasn't been a good talent evaluator in years. He was a GM there. No, he was a GM there. Who did he draft that was good?
Quarterback wise, I mean, no. You had Jimmy Garoppolo, you had Brissett. He's done okay with quarterbacks.
No, I'm talking about talent in the last 5 years. Top talent in the last 5 years.
No, wide receivers and that stuff. No, absolutely not. But like I said, he's been okay at picking halfway okay quarterbacks.
So have the Bears. So have the Bears.
Right. Halfway okay is
right up our alley.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going back to WNBA, yeah, that's kind of sad to hear that. Their PR teams and their marketing teams definitely need to do a better job. I mean,
Chicago Scott, I'll work for y'all. Let's do this.
Yeah. How do you have two highly drafted people and then you sit there and just roll out a red carpet to an empty seating area? Yeah, like I said, I mean, hey, give us a call. We'll come cover it. Like I said, we'll talk about women's basketball. We ain't got no problem with that. Like I said, anything that helps the Chicago sports teams get their recognition, I'm all for it.
We had a long, in-depth discussion about women's basketball before. It didn't end in an argument whatsoever. It was great the whole time.
Yeah, and as for the whole Kelsey situation, yeah, I could definitely deal without Taylor Swift. But I mean, Travis and Jason, yeah, I mean, I listen to some of their New Heights stuff where they're constantly talking about Coach Reed or anything where you get some insight into the NFL. It's always great to listen and watch. Like I said, I don't care for the whole we need to pan to Taylor Swift now.
I like the fact that Taylor Swift was involved because I have daughters and I know a lot. My daughters didn't get into it. One is too young. One doesn't give shit. But there was a lot of fathers and daughters that watched Super Bowl, watched playoff games, watched football, NFL for the first time, actually bonding with your daughter. Me and my daughter have softball. That's what we bond over. But I'm going to tell you what, as a girl dad, I thought it was really cool because they finally had something to bond over. You had a lot of, like, as silly as it sounds, a lot of guys' wives that were into football because of that. So to me, to see, again, the same way we would want to support women's sports, to see them kind of being brought into our world, just like if you were going to watch some shitty romantic comedy that you didn't want to watch, and by the end of the movie, you're sitting there with your wife and you got tears rolling down your face. There's nothing wrong with that because what it does is it makes it a little bit more inclusive. And you're talking about the top pop star in the world. I have no problem with them, bringing her on the screen because then you got your little girl sitting there.
I don't mind it. I think it was just how much, I don't like if you want to talk about her, great, but I don't need you to pan to her 7 times.
Who cares?
You know what I mean? Like I said, to me, that's just
a 3-hour football game. Who cares? You didn't miss anything. They didn't miss any scoring. There was no touchdowns or a miss. You still heard the whole game. It's that to me, that's silly. That's as goofy as complaining about someone painting their fingernails. Who the hell cares? It doesn't change the game whatsoever. Just let the little girls have their, like, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift live. actually see her in person on the TV. I'm completely fine with that. It's just
Again, as a football fan, I'd rather see a replay and going over X's and O's than
you're going to see that anyway.
That's just me.
Hours on end on network. That's all they do all day. The 30 seconds worth of screen time that Taylor Swift gets does not change that whatsoever.
It's not just 30 seconds, though, bro. It's 30 seconds 7 times.
No, I don't think you understand how time works. It was not.
All right. It's that time, fellas. All right. So this is great. This is great. And we're gonna be talking a lot more football as the season goes on, as the summer goes on and so forth. But this is great, guys. But you know what? Let's close the show with a stirring the pot. I got a little something for you.
Uh-oh.
So let me see. Do I have it up here? Yeah, I do have it up here. All right, so you know what time it is. It's time for stirring the pot, and I'll hit the bell because we got to fight a little bit over this because we are going to fight over it. Where's the boxing bell? Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna put this image up on the screen for you guys. See if I can just draw. Can I move you guys over? Yeah, I can probably edit you guys. Let's see. Edit, and let's see if we can make you guys a lot smaller.
I see a Frosty. That's what I'm
Good
seeing.
luck.
Right
All right, so you can't see all the images. I'm gonna move myself out of there too, and move you guys over here somewhere.
McDonald's McFlurry, Popeye's banana pudding parfait.
Yeah, so
McDonald's apple pie.
you've got to choose one. You got the McDonald's McFlurry Oreo. You got Popeye's banana pudding parfait, McDonald's apple pie, Jollibee peach mango pie. I don't know whether one of those is that. Wendy's original Frosty, Taco Bell cinnamon sticks, or Burger King's Hershey Sundae pie. Woo-wee! That's a lot of sugar.
This is easy for me. Because that McFlurry is the bummiest ass dessert. You want one of them that actually tastes good. Go to Culver's. And
I was just about to say, can I go off script?
No. You got to choose one of these things. I know Culver's is great.
Because I'm going Culver's as well, if that's an option.
No, it's not an option. Pick one of these crappy ones.
They're not all crappy.
I'm joking.
I'm gonna give you mine, and it's the winner, and because it's the best one out here, and it's that the Hershey pie from Burger King is by far blows out whatever weird mango and banana pies that they got out there. That old ass McDonald's apple pie that it was so shitty they used to give it away for 50 cents.
Yeah, 2 for $1.
Banana pudding parfait. Stick to chicken, Popeyes. The only thing that could possibly have a fight in this, aside from that Hershey pie, is the Frosty. That's the only thing. With French fries, dip it in there. I did see a guy from England who's like, dipping anyone that takes a French fries or chips, they're really called chips, and dunks it into something that's sweet is absolutely disgusting. I'm like, bro, you guys eat beans on toast. Shut the hell up. No one wants to hear about your food opinions. There's a reason why your teeth look like that.
Tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel.
If I'm forced to pick one of these,
yes, sir,
it would have to be the McFlurry or the Frosty. In my opinion, the problem is every time you go to a McDonald's, the McFlurry machine's down, so you never get it anyway. So
then you take your butt over to Wendy's, get yourself a Frosty and some fries.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, like Wendy's, they offer that buy a keychain, get the little mini Frosty, whatever, year round for $3.99. It's a hell of a deal. I'm gonna go Frosty with the all year $3.99 keychain.
You know what? I have to agree with both of you. Wendy's Frosty, Lane Tech days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is a junior bacon double cheeseburger? Whoo! That Burger King Hershey pie. That's probably the only thing I eat at Burger King.
The 99-cent nuggets from Wendy's back in the day. Yep. Yeah, man.
They had the good barbecue sauce back then. Now it's trash.
Yeah. No.
Right now you got to go with the $6 biggie bags. That's the only way you get your money now.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But it's weird because Wendy's fries always gave me hiccups. Whatever it was.
Yeah, not a big fan of their fries, especially when they first came out with sea salt. Oh my god, they were over salting. It was not good.
Yeah, I mean, That was there. I remember it was the skin on fries. They're like, try them, you'll love them. And I'm like, what if I don't? What you gonna do about that? What you gonna do about that, Wendy? You took away my ashtrays in the little, remember the little metal ashtrays in the lounge over there? That was the coolest thing about those at least the Wendy's restaurants where they had that piece side with the little sunroom. That was always really cool. And then hell, this is aging myself very much so, but we would eat our 99-cent burger and our Frosty, and you just sit there and rip your cigarettes and sit there because, like, guess what? You can smoke inside. No one give a shit.
Yeah, the 90s were awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, boys, this has been a fun time. Great show, but we got to wrap it up. I got to flip this show and put it on the YouTubes and all that stuff. So anything else in closing?
Green Bay sucks. That Green Bay sucks.
Green Bay sucks, yes.
And let me tell you something real quick. Green Bay fans, if you're listening, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered because we're coming for you. I don't care how many times you've beat us in a row. I don't care how many guys named Love you got on your team. I don't care how many times you guys keep flipping over a damn quarterback room and getting another great quarterback. Your days are numbered. I'm talking about the whole NFC North, but particularly the Packers. And I think their fans know that. I've seen a lot of fans get real nervous about this draft, and they're like, oh, shit, here come the Bears. The least scary mascot in all of NFL. Go ahead and pack your boxes, go to Amazon, whatever you got to do. We're coming for you. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. It's not nearly going to be as pretty as the brand new stadium they put out there that we're all going to pay for, right?
No, that's no. Anyways, before we leave, I wanted to talk about Caleb already starting promotions and going. That's a new Bears thing to do. Give him the Bears face and the claws. Yeah.
I love it. Well, people are like, well, that's not his. It was Bears man. And I'm like, the thing I found funny about that is that they gave Caleb a hard time about his fingernails. This Bears man been out there in full makeup, full ass makeup for years. For years. No one says nothing about a guy's makeup.
No one bats an eye.
That the fingernails is a problem, right? But makeup is cool, like whatever. But yeah, I'm all for it. I hope to see like just a bunch of people being silly. I think that's the cool thing about Caleb, really, because he has a personality that, like, whether they win or whether they lose, he's gonna be emotional about it. He's gonna be silly when he needs to be. If they're up, like, if they end up winning by 30 points or whatever, he's going to be silly about it. He's going to have fun with it. You're going to see him doing this all the time. I'm perfectly cool with it. He has the type of personality that doesn't seem like he's going to be too up, too down, but he does have emotion that he brings to the table. And I absolutely love it, especially watching, Justin being very baseline and the years of Cutler pouting all the time. I'm all for this kid with all his energy and his hype. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens, come August and September.
Sounds good. All right, y'all. That is it for today. Thank you for listening. A big thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for at the checkout for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your shirts now. All right, check out the other shows on the 606 Media lineup. You can check out No Water on the Weekend with Steven and Sean, a pop culture forward podcast that dabbles in funny trivia and film. You can check out my other podcast. It is called Intoxicated, where I interview interesting people from all walks of life. All that. Mine is on YouTube. Theirs is on every audio version of podcast. So check those out. Check us out on social media. Find us at TCSF Pod on Twitter. Find us on TikTok and on Facebook, IG, Spotify. Reach out to us on our email. We want to hear from you. Reach us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right. For E-Rock and JC, I am Big Z, and we'll see you next time for episode 193. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
Swish.